I want to talk about how to last longer in bed. For a while, I debated on making this video. For one, because I don't really like to air out my personal life in that way, believe it or not. Not so much for my sake, more so for the sake of my girl, because obviously it takes two to take part in that action. And, I'm perfectly fine talking about my side of things, but I kind of want to leave certain details as discreet as possible so that you guys don't really get a full picture, if that makes sense. Another reason why I debated on making this video is because, like I said in the past, this is mostly natural for me. I'm somebody who does not have a very high sex drive. It's just the way that I am. Okay, it's the way that I've always been. I've said this in a few of my NoFap videos, but I didn't start PMO. I didn't start, consciously trying to release until I was like 18 or 19 years old, because these things don't really cross my mind that much. So I'm not a very naturally lustful person, which has worked to my benefit, clearly, as I'm able to make a video like this. But at the same time, even though it is mostly natural, there are certain things that I've done to maximize my natural gifts, if you will. And I think that if anybody implements these things, they will be able to see some degree of increase in their performance. Now, am I saying that you're going to be able to last as long as I do? I'm not saying that. I can't guarantee that because we're not all made the same. Okay, for example, with my hair. Okay, I have dropped curly hair routines, but I can't guarantee you that your hair is going to look like mine if you do the same thing, because we might have different hair types, and that's okay. But ultimately, I think that everyone should be able to indulge in the benefits of retention without having to give up sex altogether, because sex can be, a very, very crucial part of building a relationship. That's something that I didn't realize in the past. Like I said, I didn't really care about sex. And, I learned through being in a relationship now that sex is a very, very strong bonding experience. It doesn't get much stronger than that. It's one of the deepest forms of intimacy that one can have. And, I think it's a lot deeper than the physical. I think that there's also a lot of energetic exchange within there as well. But, that's a different discussion for a different day. The first thing that you can do to last longer in bed is to practice semen retention. Now, I know this sounds very counterintuitive. Okay, a lot of guys think that if you do semen retention, you're not going to last as long because you're not practicing. Okay, your body's not used to it. Now, that might be true for like the first few months of retention. After like about, I would say 6 months, at that point, your body's going to start to get the message that you're not going to be having sex anytime soon. Okay, so over time, your body and your mind will adapt. By doing semen retention for extended periods of time, you are conditioning your mind and your body to not be in that state. You're going to stop thinking so much about sex, and you're going to think more about, your purpose and improving yourself, building something, whether that's a relationship, a business, or even yourself. And this conditioning will run very, very deep within you. As you go on your retention journey, you'll begin to experience exponential conditioning. And what I mean is that, it's a journey that builds on itself. Every day that you go without relapsing on retention, you are taking yourself further and further out of that state of mind of sex, especially when you stop watching porn and you get off social media and you stop, just generally lusting for these women and you start focusing on yourself instead. Now, like I said, this is a very personal video, so, I'm gonna go ahead and share this with you guys. But at a certain point in retention, I stopped having wet dreams. Okay, on my 9-month journey, I completely stopped having wet dreams. And, I think that that's a pretty good indicator that you will probably last pretty long in bed. Once you stop having wet dreams and you're not releasing in any other way, that's your body's way of saying that your sex drive has not so much lowered, but your body is in that state where you're not going to release as quick because you're not as lustful as you were before. Your mind is on different things. You're thinking more for the long-term gratification instead of the short-term gratification. You guys have to understand that in doing semen retention, you are preparing for the battle. Okay, half of the battle, 50% of the battle occurs before the battle even starts. Okay, it's in the preparation for the battle. You have to prepare your body and your mind to be able to do these types of things. Now, like I said, I think that this is a big part of why I am, naturally gifted in this area in terms of lasting long in bed, is because I'm not a very lustful person to begin with, and then doing retention only furthered that conditioning even more and made me not care about sex at all. This is why, like I said, I stopped having wet dreams. I stopped having wet dreams, or even if I did, I wouldn't release. Okay, I wouldn't release at all. And, part of that is my body, but part of that is my mind as well. It's, going on my retention journey and getting it ingrained into my subconscious mind that releasing is not good for me. Or not so much that releasing is not good for me, more so that unnecessary releasing is not good for me. Obviously, if you want to have kids, things like that, you're going to have to release. But generally speaking, for me, I found that unless I'm ready to have kids, I'm not going to release. Okay, if I'm not ready to have kids, I'm not going to release because there's really no point. Now, like I said, I'm at that point where I can do that. I'm at that point where I stop when I'm tired, not when I release, because I don't release. Okay, and another thing I want to clear up real quick, this has nothing to do with my girl or my level of attraction to my girl. I read a comment on my semen retention versus nofap video that said, it might make my girl feel bad that I'm not releasing. And, hopefully it doesn't, but she understands that I don't have a very high sex drive. She understands that my mind is in different places and that sex for me is more of a relationship building tool, not the end goal. Okay, my end goal is much bigger than that. And, obviously I'm very attracted to my girl, otherwise I wouldn't be with her, much less in bed with her. So I just wanted to clear that up. It is possible to last long in bed with a girl that you're attracted to. Now, with that being said, that is the mental side of things. Okay, that is the mental preparation that occurs before you even get into bed with somebody. Now I'm gonna talk about some of the things that you can do once you are in bed with somebody. Once you're in that situation, in the heat of the moment, how you can prevent yourself from releasing. Okay, for anybody who wants to practice retention without having to abstain from sex altogether. Now, the first thing you can do, okay, once you're in bed with somebody and you do not want to release, is take your time. Okay, do not go in when you're at your peak libido. Okay, when you are at that peak of your sexual energy, do not go in yet. Wait. Okay, wait until you're coming down from that. Wait until you're at that point where you're conscious. Okay, you're not just acting out of pure instinct. You're not an animal at that point. You're thinking. Okay, you are thinking your way through it. Obviously, the best way to do this is to make sure that your girl is straight first and kind of just take your time. Okay, don't rush into it. I'm sure a lot of guys are guilty of this, and I'm guilty of this as well sometimes. But sometimes, we rush into it. We're a little overzealous and, we get into it too quickly. And I think if you take like 30 minutes to an hour to properly prepare, I think that will go a very long way in making sure that you last longer or that you don't release at all. The next thing you can do to last longer in bed is slow down. Okay, once you are actually, in the middle of sex, okay, you're having sex with somebody, slow down. Okay, now you don't just have to go slow the whole time, but go at a pace that you can maintain. And what I mean by that is, sometimes you may speed up, but other times you stop and then you start back up slowly. Okay, slowly. Take your time. There's no need to rush this. Take your time. It's supposed to be a pleasurable experience. It's kind of like eating really good food. Okay, you can sit there and knock down a whole pizza in one sitting, or you can take your time and enjoy the food and savor each and every bite of that experience. Okay, slow down, take your time, and in my experience at least, I think that this allows things to be more romantic in a sense. I think that when you go slow, that's kind of when you cross that line from having sex to making love. Okay, that's when you're not so much just trying to get one off or trying to, just catch a body for that day, but you're focused on the experience. You're in the moment. You're invested in the moment. Another thing that you can do to last longer in bed is wear a condom. Okay, now you should be wearing a condom regardless. Unless you are ready to have a kid, wear a condom. Don't risk it. It is not worth the risk. Now, obviously, a condom is kind of going to, impede that feeling. It's going to make that experience a little more dull, which is good if you're trying to last longer in bed. Okay, it's going to be less sensual pleasure. And, a condom can really make a big difference. I can tell you firsthand, a condom can make a very big difference in terms of how long you last in bed. If you need to, wear 2 condoms. Okay, do what you need to do, but wearing a condom is good not only for lasting longer in bed, but for your own protection. Okay, especially if you're messing with a girl that you know nothing about. If you're just hooking up with a girl, you should 100% be wearing protection. But really, you should be wearing one regardless, unless you're ready to have a kid, because accidents happen. Now, the next thing that you can do to last longer in bed, and this one is going to sound a little weird at first, so you got to stay with me, but think about other things. Okay, when you get to that point that you feel like you're about to reach that threshold, that point of no return, you have to place your mental focus onto other things. Now, I know that's kind of contradictory to the other things that I've been saying in this video about, enjoying the experience for what it is and being in the moment, but this is when you're at that point where you're in the danger zone. Okay, it's a code orange. Code red is you've reached the point of no return, you're about to release. Period. There's nothing you can do at that point. Code orange is, you feel like you're about to get to code red, but you still have hope. Now, when I say think about other things, that does not mean think about other girls. It doesn't mean think about messed up things like, dead puppies or anything like that. What I mean is think about something that has nothing to do with sex. Think about something that has absolutely nothing to do with sex at all. My go-to, and this is kind of weird to say, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of hope my girl is not watching this. She probably is, but I hope that she's not, because she does not know that I do this. And now every time we have sex, she's gonna know that I'm thinking about this. But my go-to is YouTube. So I think about YouTube, I think about editing videos, filming videos, and now that I think about it, this might be the reason why I'm so addicted to YouTube. I think that this is why transmutation has worked so well for me in terms of, taking all of that sexual energy and putting it towards YouTube. And I think that this is why the way that most guys think about sex and the way that they obsess about sex, that's the way that I obsess about YouTube. Okay, YouTube is on my mind 24/7. It lives rent-free in my head. And I think that, me doing this while having sex has definitely contributed to me having that mindset towards YouTube.